This is the Allura Code, a transmission for creators, sensitives, and visionaries who know they're built for more, who can feel the signal beneath the noise. Here we decode the hidden patterns running your life, the ones shaping your wealth, your relationships, your body, your art. It blends human design, field energetics, ancient tech, and quantum energetic architecture to recalibrate your system back to truth. You will learn to tune into your body, recognize what truth feels like, and use that as your guidance. This is a multidimensional approach to allow the whole of your being to come together in a convergence of self-discovery and alignment so that you may begin live from full alignment and press play on life. This isn't self-help, it's self-remembrance. Each episode is a map, key, a mirror. If you dare to meet the real you beneath the programming, welcome home to the Allura Code.
Has been chaotic.
Oh.
I haven't really had a lot of intense things like car accidents and getting fired and conflicts and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's more so been just this subtle underlying nagging consistent sense of dis-ease, not disease, but dis-ease for pretty much my entire adult life.
Okay.
That something is not right. I can't quite figure it out. And of course, it manifested as depression. It manifested as anxiety that I just couldn't get a way to sort it out. And of course, it manifested as spiritual seeking. And I guess one thing, if we're going to talk about things that I look back now and laugh, is probably all of the prayers, the heartfelt, devoted prayers and crying to God to show me my true nature, to reveal to me who I am, to help me to awaken, right? And it's like kind of, even though I don't want to discount the suffering that I went through, it's kind of funny now to reflect on that and to just see like that whole disturbance and suffering and looking for myself was only just an imaginary illusion, because I was it the whole time. I had never left home. I had never needed to go out and find something. That is how the story appeared in this character, and there's nothing wrong about it. But there was never anything to find. And so it is kind of comical to look back on how much efforting I put towards it and how emotionally wrapped up and attached I got to this concept of awakening and my higher self, when there had never been anything hiding on me.
Well, ironically, though, the awakening was realizing that there's no awakening.
Yeah, there's nothing. The realization is there's nothing to realize. The paradox is there's no paradox. It's only thought.
Well, exactly, right? It's like there's this, this ever present. So, I had a point in I think it was in 2021, at the beginning of the year. This was a key, for me, was I just 2020 had been, 2020 for everybody was challenging in many ways. And, so I don't want to discount that and say that, I suffered more, because obviously it's not a competition, but 2020 was, let's face it, the pandemic for a lot of people was not fun. And in 2021, I remember I found this book, and it was very timely. Have you ever followed any of Teal Swan's work?
Yep, I have.
Okay. So this book for me was, at the time, was fantastic. And it's called The Completion Process. And so when I find something that I'm resonating with, I milk it for all it's worth to get as much value out of it as possible. So I bought the book and I just put it on replay. And I just listened to it over and over and over again for about a month. And I had this moment of surrender, because there was a lot of things going on that weren't that weren't supposed to happen. I mean, this is the way I was thinking at the time. But I also knew that there was a reason for why they were happening. But yeah, there was this huge resistance to, it was kind of like this back and forth. There was this wisdom side, but then there was also this like, and it was just looking at my life as how it had turned out at that stage of the game. And, just thinking like with all the years of hard work that I put in and all this crap that, I should have been in a different position financially and otherwise. And that for me was it was like it broke my heart. It was worse than any breakup I've ever had or anything like that. It was just, I felt like my heart had been broken because I'd done all the things that, you think you're supposed to do, but thinking that I had been doing them in a way that was growth. And when I look back now, it was, but because it was funny. So I had this 3-week or month period where I was just, inconsolable. And yeah, just like I would literally cry myself to sleep every night, and until I finally purged. And then it freaking dawned on me that, you have that oscillation. Then finally that layering of grief that was in my system got out, and I had this freaking epiphany. And it was like, I don't know what is going to happen this year, but I know there's going to be some kind of profound change. I had no clue. And then I got a couple of listings, and the market here was really hot. I got a couple of listings, and they were big listings. And so I was like, wow, it looks like things are going to start to turn around. Wrong. So a couple months later, so that was in like, by that point, it probably would have been like end of March. And then I started experiencing like this tingling in my lower back, and it felt like electric shock. And, it didn't hurt per se, but if I moved in certain ways, because I was working out quite a bit, if I moved in certain ways, I would feel like this electric shock. And then anyway, so that went on for like, I don't know. And my left SI joint was really, really stiff. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just take it easy on the workout for a while, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so one day I was doing some physio, and I put my 2 feet out of my car and I turned, and then I just felt this really sharp, at that point, it wasn't really pain, but this like electric shock that shot down my right leg. And I was like, uh-oh, what's that? And so I stood up, and it was like, and as it turned out, I had a bulged disc that was pushing on the nerve, and it got to the point where the pain was absolutely like freaking unbearable. Like, I couldn't, like, I can't even begin to describe what it was like. And I wound up having to have an emergency surgery because I couldn't go to the bathroom. Like it wasn't fun. So I'm not gonna get into all the details, but that was a wake up call. It was just, and then just, there was a few other series of events. I wound up selling my condo, and then moving a couple of times, and then moving. Yeah, it was the year of just one thing after another. And again, I look back now and I'm like, I just laugh because like how much chaos do it, you know what I mean? So, and the reason I say this is because I know there are lots of people out there who are, they're experiencing, they feel like, something's off. They feel like there's more to life. They're anxious, you're depressed. And I'm hoping that the tales that you and I, Trina, that we are sharing today will just, if it can just help one person, feel better for even 5 minutes, then, I definitely think that we're doing something very worthwhile, because, you suffered a great deal for many years. And, I've definitely had my fair share of experiences. Yeah. 'Cause when I found out about that surgery, I was just like, because there was a bulge in the disc that had pushed out, and it was actually pushing on my spinal cord. And so that's what that shocking feeling was if I would move like this or something. And then it finally, just when I got out of the car, it just lodged out of the disc, and it was pushing hard enough that it was constant. And yeah, so I don't say this to take anything away from anybody else's experience, but more so to say that, if I can, if I can come through this, and and be sitting here and being able to laugh about it and talk about it, years later, and being able to move beyond it. And with you, Trina, you have certainly been able to, you've evolved over the course of your time, that you've been, quote unquote, seeking. And it must have been a huge weight off of your shoulders when you found out, oh, you mean I don't have to look anymore? What are you talking about? You mean it's been here? Like, what was your first reaction?
It was kind of, it was almost like coming out of a cult, to be honest, because I had become addicted to it and I didn't realize that I was addicted to it.
Mm.
I didn't even know that was an addiction. I didn't even know that it was like seeking. Like, I just thought this is what you do, right? This is what you do if you have to be happy. And if it doesn't work, you got to try harder, right? Just applying the societal condition to the spiritual journey of letting go. And so for me, it was almost like, well, what am I without that? Who am I without the seeking? What, you mean I can just live life like a normal person? I don't need to give up. I don't need to sacrifice. I don't need to be devoted to some concept of God. I can just be a human. Like, I can just be normal. Like, I don't know how to do that, right? Because I was so wrapped up in it. It just completely overtook me. But at the same time, it made sense. And it was a huge relief in the sense that I saw that my mind was just creating the whole thing. So it took a while to kind of relearn, in a sense, how to just come back into my natural state. But yeah, there was some emotional processing, definitely, with the letting go of the journey. But it wasn't this whole thing.
Okay.
After a couple weeks, it ended, and it, like, the realization was solidified, and I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Only a couple of weeks?
Well, for the really challenging, like, emotional, like, shock to kind of end, because I was a bit dramatic about it. I took all my spiritual books and I threw them in the garbage. All of my, like, different channeled material and A Course in Miracles, all this stuff. I was like, I don't need this anymore. These are only concepts, little statement to myself. I'm an Aries, so I'm a bit dramatic sometimes.
When's your birthday?
April 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally right in the middle of Aries too.
Yeah. So yeah, bittersweet, I guess, but it's so much better now that because there's just more clarity. Like, you're not wrapped up in delusion anymore. You're just with what is, and what is doesn't need to look a certain way. It doesn't need to be how your mind thinks it is. Like, the mind keeps trying to operate an automatic machine. It's like trying to drive a driverless car. Like, it's okay to have a mind. It's okay to, have foresight and use it for functional things, but it's not here to tell us who we are. It's not here to provide these existential answers, because existence is already right here.
Yeah, and it's ever present. So along your journey, did you ever have any awareness about, the present moment, prior to connecting with this, with this work?
Yeah, I had read Eckhart Tolle I'd read both of his books a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was being in the present moment. I was trying to go into the present moment. I was trying to find the awareness. But what had happened was I had objectified it. I had objectified the now moment. I had objectified consciousness, and then thus had, imagined it to be something separate from what I was, and something that I needed to find, that I needed to go deeper into. Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess this is the paradox, because you have to, in a way, you have to develop a practice, but I don't know how to explain this, but it's like, I guess, it sounds like, anyway, for the gray area has disappeared, and now it's black and white, because either you are or you aren't. So either you're the character or you're not.
Well, I never was the character to begin
No.
with. The character was only just a delusion. But yeah, I guess there was an orientation towards that perspective. And I guess, I'm not knocking the spiritual path. I'm not knocking healing, any of that. But in the end, I had to let it go. I had to give it up. It's kind of like you use a boat to cross the river, and once you get to the other side, you don't need it anymore, right? And that was the case for this character story. It doesn't have to be the case for other people. It will manifest in a unique way for them. But in the end, the ultimate end of seeking is letting go of the seeking, letting go of that journey, because the seeking journey was only for the mind.
And so what does that, okay. And so what does that look like? What does life look like for you now versus even 2 years ago?
Yeah, in a sense, everything's the same, but also everything's different. There's just a trust, I guess, like a natural trust and a quietness, and there's nothing, like the controlling mechanism is really not so active, and there's not so much of an attachment there anymore. It's just settling into what is. And it's just simple. Like right now, there's not really much going on. Like I'm working on my TikTok channel. I'm making videos for that. I'm doing lives. I'm doing, maybe 10 calls a week with different people, doing my Cambo ceremonies. There's things I want to do. There's travel that I want to do. But for now, this is just how my life looks. And it's fine. And it's beautiful. Yeah. It's not this grand, exciting thing. It's just, wake up, have breakfast, do what I need to do, go for a walk.
Sounds all right to me.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these. I'm curious. Tell me more about these ceremonies.
Yeah. So Cambo is, frog secretion. It is applied to the body through the lymphatic system. So small burn marks are made on the skin just to expose just to take off the first superficial layer of skin. And the client typically arrives on an empty stomach. The medicine goes on, and then it's a physical process. So typically people feel nauseous, they can vomit, they can use the toilet, they can shake, emotions can come up. It's a short and efficient experience, maybe around 20 minutes. And it's amazing at clearing toxins from the physical body, emotional baggage, and also energetic blockages as well. The first time that I worked with Cambo, my intention was to heal my communication blocks. I had a lot of throat issues and itchy throat, sinus problems, inflammation, and also I felt really blocked verbally. I had a lot of mental understanding, but I wasn't able to articulate myself and express myself in the way that I wanted to. And so I had worked with Cambo to help alleviate that. And it actually worked, on top of feeling the real amazing grounded effects on the nervous system and the cleansing like benefits that it offers. It also worked on my whatever throat blockage was there. And within a couple weeks, I noticed that my communication had improved, and like even my mom had noticed. And I just started, I don't know, there was something that shifted with that. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. And it had also really healed a lot of like deep-seated sadness and grief that I had, which I'm assuming was connected to the throat as well. And did a couple more sessions and ended up getting trained for it. So it basically is a combination of bioactive peptides that our bodies have receptors for. So It's really amazing. There's this frog in the Amazon jungle who has no natural predators. So they're actually quite easy to catch, and they are abundant, and they know no fear because there's no one chasing them. There's this secretion that's harvested from them, and the peptides in the secretion work synergistically with our bodies to produce this detoxing, cleansing effect that benefits many different parts of our system. Like it helps with mood, it downregulates adrenaline and cortisol, balances dopamine and serotonin, reduces inflammation, reduces pain, works on the energetic line, cleanses the liver, cleanses the gallbladder. People use it for fibroids. It can be helpful for autoimmune issues like Lyme disease and spondylitis, ankylosing spondylitis. Really good for anxiety and calming. So it is like a full body reset in a sense. And it can just be good to help like get the toxins out of the body, like that we breathe in from the air and from our food and water supply. Yeah, so it's not psychedelic. Many people use it to prepare for psychedelic ceremonies to go deeper. So people can use it like before they sit with like ayahuasca or iboga, because it will reduce the potential for them to purge in the psychedelic journey. So it just helps to clear up the body, lighten up the body, so that they can go deeper into their journeying as well. So yeah, many, many uses for it, but it's been used by the Amazon tribes for, I don't know, thousands of years. I mean, they have no really written history, but most of the tribes use it there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have tried ayahuasca once, and that was actually here. There's actually a law. It's kind of like a workaround. So if you are using, like if you are like a recognized religious or spiritual group or organization, you can actually import it for the purpose of spiritual ceremonies. So there was this church that I heard about, and it's based in South America, but they have chapters like all over the place. Anyway, so they were able to, like the guy who does it, he's the quote unquote pastor. He's been the head guy for this church for like the last 35 years here in Southern Ontario. And so he kind of explained to me how it worked, and they have all sorts of different themes and stuff like that. So it's like a full on like 8-hour ceremony. And yeah, it was like, I mean, it was wild. Like it was enjoyable in the sense of just all the sensory parts of it, because they're coming around, and they have drums, and there's chanting, and they'll come in, they'll stimulate your field with a rattle or something, and just like this really cool music, and there was definitely this sense of being in an alternate like a trance state, like you do when you're under the influence of something like that. But for me personally, like I didn't get a ton of, like I was definitely feeling it. Like it was very, very enjoyable in that respect. But it was not, there weren't a ton of visuals. And I mean, there were some people that were just like just totally screwed out of their minds, but not many. There's only maybe 3 or 4 people. There was like 25 people in the group, and there was maybe 3 or 4 that got sick. And I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel like, I mean, the only thing, what I got out of that? because it was the whole premise of the ceremony was opening the heart. And so they, like I said, they would come around and they'd give a prayer and this and that and stuff. And so the only thing, the one thing that came up for me was that, well, I don't really need psychedelics to have a spiritual experience, or to progress on this, it's not even the way I see it, it's not even like a journey. It's more like it's just a deepening of awareness. And then there's these thresholds of depth that you will cross, because physically, life is, you still have day-to-day life, you still do your job or whatever, you still eat, you still go to the gym or whatever, but it's I guess it's just the way that you relate to it is so different. So tell me this, in terms of the way, especially since you've come into these two things, and especially since the beginning of the year, how have you noticed that people respond? Like you said, your mom said, she's noticed a difference, but what would you say is, like, how have you noticed people responding differently to you? And there've been people that have fallen away, or that you don't hear about anymore, or like how is your physical experience responded to this, to these fundamental shifts in being?
I mean, I don't really talk about these subjects like, I have mentioned it to some of my friends, but not too many of them. It's kind of like not a lot of people want to go there. And same with my family. I can't say that there's definitely been new opportunities that have come out, and I've been having calls with amazing people from all around the world, helping them, bringing them into clarity, helping them end seeking. So that's been huge. That's been so beautiful that there's been such an amazing response, because I only just started like sharing about this stuff on TikTok maybe about 4 months ago.
Okay.
And since then, like, the channel's just grown so much, and I'm doing lives and meeting amazing people. So it's really exciting to see that resonance there. I would say physically, there's definitely been more of a slowing down, like how I work out has changed. Like, I'm not like pushing myself so much. I'm doing more slow movements. I'm listening to my body. I'm not overdoing it. Yeah, I would say the changes have been mostly internal, not needing so much stimulation, not needing to listen to like podcasts and music and have all this stuff going, like just going for long walks in silence and being okay with that. Yeah, there's a real love for simplicity that's emerged, and I'm very blessed that, I work from home and I don't have to, like, even though I live close to downtown Vancouver, I'm not in that big social bubble here. And to be honest, like, even though I'm from here, I don't mean, maybe what Vancouver's like. I just never felt like I met my people here, socially, it's not like the most happening place that jives with me the most. So I can't say that there's been any amazing changes, except just, well, the shift in what I'm doing for work and offering more of that, I could say, would be the biggest response.
Well, it sounds as though that's huge. Because you've effectively turned this into, or it sounds like it doesn't sound like you, I don't know. Did you consciously make a decision one day to say, like, oh my God, I need to bring this to the world? Or did you?
No, I was doing social media before for my Cambo business, and mostly Instagram. And then I just made a TikTok account just to upload the videos that I made there, and didn't really think much of it. I think I got one client from TikTok. And then I just started sharing more stuff on TikTok about seeking and all of that. And it just started picking up big time, and
Wow.
had a couple like really big videos, and it was crazy. And then I started getting all these emails and people wanting to work with me and reach out and wanting to like resonating with the message. And so I started just doing a bunch of calls with people on WhatsApp, and then eventually made a booking link and made it easier for people to have a call with me. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I just work completely by donation. And yeah, I've done a lot of like calls with people from other countries who can't like afford to donate either. So just following the white rabbit for now and seeing where it goes. But it's fun to see how much like it's resonating, because I feel like this message is, it's almost like a message that Trina needed to hear many, many years ago. And with my 1-3 profile, it makes sense how it's all working out that way, right? I had to go through it first.
Yeah, well, you had to become it in order to be able to because you have to be able to experience it in order to share it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, and you know what? I just want to acknowledge that you've really taken, the you've really been very sincere about, well, first of all, sharing and showing up here today. But more so, I really want to acknowledge the fact that you've had the courage and the fortitude, to stick this out for what seems like it's been years, like years and years of, because it roots back to one thing you said earlier, which was that you had this nagging sense that there's more to life. And so I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was definitely a force that kept you that kept you going. I mean, I'm sure you had periods of time where, you would give up and then take a break, and then like a week later you're back on Google, like Googling how to frickin' because that's the curious nature that you would have. And so there was this never like this internal, I guess, fire, if you will, of wanting to figure it out, or wanting to, just this really intense curiosity, because for whatever reason. And the fact that you were able to do that, and now you're on the other side of it for the most part, I guess. I mean, life is always a continuing journey, but you are now on the other side of it, and doing something that, I mean, from what I can tell, and having experienced working with you, it's just it just comes so natural for you. And it's almost like you don't even have to think about it. It's like you were saying, like when you're talking, the words are just sort of rolling off your, they just kind of roll off your tongue, and I'm also thinking too that, so when you're working with somebody, you can kind of tune you naturally, because I know that you naturally are very intuitive. I mean, it's kind of par for the course with this stuff, right? So when you're working with somebody, you can kind of get a sense of where you need to, kind of for lack of a better term, a path to guide them, or, in terms of for them to ultimately come to the realization that they're there to experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's like that with any kind of skill or offering. You just do a lot of it, and you kind of just sense what's happening. But at the same time, there's a universalness to all of us, to just this, and however many creative ways
Okay.
I can say it. It's all
Yeah, you can't
pointing
say
back to this, right?
Yeah.
And some people, they may have a fixation about the past, right? And so we'll like ask questions that will address that to help them see that that's just a thought. Or some people will have a fixation about well, the identity, well, I am this, and then so we'll investigate that and call out the beliefs around there.
Okay, so when it's an identity thing that comes up, would you then ask them another question, or would you just point out that is another thought, or like what would that look like?
Yeah, a lot of the time, well, what if they're coming from, if they're in this place of stillness already, I will often just ask them, okay, so just in this moment, where is your identity? Or where is Rob? Or where is your story right now?
Okay, let's play with this for a couple minutes, just so people can get a taste of what it is that you actually do. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay.
So what are you without language right now? You just feel into what's here. You just take away all the labels. What are you without the labels right now?
Okay, I'm assuming that's rhetorical.
What's coming up for you?
Sensation-wise or thought-wise?
Just experientially.
Well, I mean, my mind automatically goes to like what's real for me right now in this moment is, just the sensations that I can feel in my body.
So those are words. So what happens when you just take away the words?
It's just a feeling.
Take away that word. So what are you without your story? What's here that's not a story?
Well, I can't answer that because then it would be a story. But for the purpose of the listeners, there is sensation, which is just it's just energy moving through my body that I can feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
That's it. It's
yeah.
not much to it.
So if you take away the past and the future, just in this very moment, what do you believe?
That I'm just here now.
Yeah. And then what if you even take away that observer?
Then I'm just energy.
You take away the I.
Energy. Awareness.
Yeah.
Nothing. Really.
Yeah. So just take away the concepts.
Okay.
Because it's not about giving me the right word, finding the right answer. It's about going there. So what are you without your beliefs right now? Just feel into that. What's already here effortlessly. What's here that you can't get out of?
Stillness. If I had to use a word.
Yeah. What's here that has no opposite?
Presence.
And what's between presence and no presence?
Space.
And so could you ever be separate from this space? Even take away the word space. Just this directness. No need for a concept. No need for a story. The stories can be there, but there's no need. So if you take away the past and the future, just in this moment, where is your identity? Where is this person, Rob, with his story?
Nowhere.
Yeah. It's just a thought, right? It's just a temporary thought that comes and goes. Is there anything missing from this moment? Yeah. Without thought, does missing even make sense?
Because it's just a word too. Or a phrase. Or
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a judgment, right? It's just a position, a declaration coming up. But for who? Who is the one that's concerned about tomorrow? There's a thought that may say that. But where is the person that that thought is for?
You're a big crowd.
It's just a thought as well. It's just an echo chamber of thoughts.
It's again just going back to the simplicity. It's just because the mind will be like, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah. What are you without that but?
nothing.
Can't be said.
Exactly.
Silence.
Stillness.
How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Good. Yeah. Present. So what if there's no next?
Well, no, because it's always now.
What if the next is just a thought? Right? The mind has this delusion that it needs to manage every aspect of its reality because it fears the future, but it doesn't realize that the future is just a concept that it created. And so it's searching for solutions for problems that it started on its own, that it imagined, when life is just effortlessly here.
It's just a vicious loop of creating framework to hold up an illusion.
And they're not even your thoughts. I mean, they're experienced in this space, but they've been programmed from the media, from the parents, from the institutions, from the culture. It's not even your voice. You're free already. So we're kind of in like this thought hypnosis where we believe that we need to take these thoughts seriously and that they're telling us the truth and that in fact it is my voice, when in actuality it's just a bunch of empty words. Because when you really get down to it, all words are made up. Every single word is made up. It's all just, and they're useful, but they are just symbolic sounds that have no meaning other than the meaning that we give to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a man-made invention.
Well, it's kind of like every other concept and idea that we buy into, like the economy's weak, or that communism was a good idea, or
this politician's going to save us. Oh, the next politician's going to save us, right?
Yeah. So, could you imagine what the world would be like if everybody thought this way, or if everyone was able to abide in this state?
Yeah. It would be beautiful. But also, like, in the sense, there's nothing wrong that it isn't that way.
Hmm.
Because this is just life happening. And of course there's horrible things going on in the world and I don't want to discount them, and I'm here to help as many people who are ready for it. But even them coming into clarity and resonating with this message is also something that isn't controlled by anyone.
Hmm.
It's just this formula, right? Like when you look back on your path, how everything kind of was next step, starting out with just the thoughts that you were programmed with as a little child. It just is what it is, right? But
Yeah.
this is the thing. This is what, because like I said, this is really the only problem that we have, is the identification with the ego, with the false sense of self. And when that is seen through, there's no voice saying this is good or bad. There's just like a natural compassion and connection to the interdependence that a forest has, that an ocean has, and just a harmony, right, internally and then with those around us as well.
And when you abide in that state, the language that comes out of it is it's very different from the language that you would use, or not just the way you would use it, but the way it would feel when you use it is very different, because it's coming from that place of everything and nothing at the same time, like eternity all at once, or you're communing with God or source or whatever you want to call it. And it creates this, both in and out, there's this symbiotic resonance that emerges, and it then becomes, life becomes very clear. Life becomes very, it's this or that. It's not, 10,000 things. Yet it's all, and it's either I am going to do this, or I am going to feel this way, or I'm not. It's not like, oh, what if this happens, or, all this, the speculation disappears, or it's significantly minimized. And yeah, I guess, like, I don't know, like, the people that you're working with, are they typically like, or is it, maybe it could be from all over the place, but is it people, like, do you even inquire, or is it may not even be necessary to, but where people are coming from? I don't mean physically, but in terms of their experience when you meet them, and they actually like resonate with your message. Do you notice a trend, or is it like from like all over the place, or?
Yeah, I get, so before I go into the inquiry session, I ask them to tell me their story of seeking.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get people from kind of like the non-dual crowd, like guru, like Hinduism, enlightenment teachings. And then I also get a lot of kind of new ager style spirituality as well. People that are like into manifesting and channeled material. And then I also just get people that just have anxiety. And maybe they've tried a bit of meditation, but they're not so into spirituality, but they dabble in it and they liked what I had to say. And, or they have some kind of, even people like I've talked to people who have like problems going on with finances or with their family. And they're hoping that I can help them with that, which I don't really give a lot of like advice about how to address things in the story. But once you see that it's a story, it kind of just oftentimes can just clear up on its own, because you realize that the source of the problem was just an illusion.
It's almost like if you were to label it, it's almost like you're facilitating surrender. Like that's if we were to use language to describe what you do, the way I'm seeing is that you're allowing people to figure out that there's nothing to figure out. And in the act or the process of figuring out that there's nothing to figure out, it's kind of like this aha moment where they and you don't need to tell them what surrender is or anything like that, but there's just this there's just this natural tendency to, because I'm sure everyone you worked with at some point is going to have that light bulb moment, or multiple light bulb moments of, wow, it's just a story. And the person that I'm enthralled in this situation with, they're also living from a story. And so when you can take the story away from at least one person, that other person is either going to meet them where they are now, or they're just they're going to get repelled. And so it comes back to that. It either is or is not, and that it takes away the gray area, which is a model I like to use for, it's clarity. It's perfect clarity. Either it is or it's not.
Yeah. And from that, there really is a natural compassion that begins to emerge, because even if thoughts of judgment does come up towards others, it's recognized
as a story.
And it's like, oh, this is just someone with their own mental formula doing their thing, trying to survive in this world where nobody knows what the F is going on. Like, there's no choice in that. There's no one that's actually choosing to think that way or be that way. It's just what is.
It's just the emergence of, and then expressed in the way that it's emerged.
Yeah. Because the mind is comparing what is to what isn't.
Yeah.
Right? It's comparing what is to what isn't, and then it's judging it based on some conceptualized imaginary thing. And thus we suffer.
Yeah. Unless it's doing it from a place of presence, which is that kind of like halfway point between it's conscious, but it's expressed conscious, if that makes sense. So we're putting language to the conscious experience in order to communicate what we're experiencing. Now, having said that, that's one way of doing it, because when I was in my body, I was just wanting to experience what was in my body without talking. And that's another way of communicating, but it's nonverbal. So, yeah. This has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Do you have any questions for me, or any last thoughts?
Yeah, I guess my final just simple thing to leave with is just to recognize how the beliefs are creating a false reality. And just to see, even one thing that helped me, this is a practice, but one thing that really helped me was just write out all of my beliefs, even the bad ones, the really bad ones, the harsh ones, and just to see it on a piece of paper and to be like, these are all just mental constructs that actually have no basis in reality, in this amazing miracle of a body, of an ecosystem that I'm existing in. The body just is doing its thing. The mind is helping me keep me safe, navigating life. The air and the ocean and the trees, it's all just here for us. Right? It has the mind, it has no, yeah. And so in a sense, the beliefs, they filter our reality in a way that trap us in the past, in what's not real. So seeing through that is a very powerful thing to do, and just allow it to unfold as well. There's nothing more like, if anything of what I've said has resonated with anyone, reach out and do a call with me if you want, but also just, it's already done. It's already done. It's already finished. It's already exposed. It's already what is. And the waking up out of the delusion will just slowly happen. The more of this clarity is coming in. It's just a sobering up. Doesn't have to be anything mystical about it or anything wow about it.
Interesting.
It can be, but it's not about that. It's not about a position, about something happening, about stages. It's just, this is the story. Just go to vertical. Go to just what's here. That's
Again, very simple, very straightforward, very easy to understand the concept about what you're doing. And especially, because when people can understand what you actually mean by a story. I remember years ago, I did Landmark, and they gave a very simple definition. It was, you had the experience, and then you had the story that you created regarding it. And it's just it just is that it is a story, and we keep telling ourselves these stories over and over again, thinking this is who we are, and that's what's the catalyst for suffering. So
totally.
So okay, so I'm gonna end the recording now, but stay on for a couple of minutes, just before I go. But so, Trina, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been an absolute, just a joy and a delight to connect with you in such a heartfelt way, and promoting this idea of, or this reality of non-attachment, and just whatever you want to call it. No mind,
Yeah.
pure consciousness, dwelling in awareness, living in presence.
This.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, I really want to extend a heartfelt thanks for coming on today. And so for those of you who are interested in connecting with Trina, I will be placing her contact info in the description, both on Spotify and on the when I upload the video portion of it to YouTube. So, and it will also get mentioned on my Instagram at success_basecamp, and on my TikTok at Allura_code. So Allura is ELURA_code. So once again, thanks very much, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Rob.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, nice to see you again. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I meant to hit the stop recording button, but I hit the hang up button instead.
Oh. So,
I just wanted to say that I would actually like to book another time with you, because it's funny. I didn't want to get into all this when we were live, because the idea was to demonstrate. Well, I wanted to experience it more personally, but I also wanted to demonstrate of what this actually is all about.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because otherwise it kind of defeats the purpose. But what was interesting was, like, I felt this. It was almost like a sadness, like a mild sense of grief that started to come up. And I mean, I didn't go into it, obviously, but I was just very aware of it. And I could feel the tingling in my body, and how it was surging and moving and everything. And I would notice that I was doing this a lot, but that's just my way of regulating and staying focused, because otherwise my natural tendency is to go right within. So, and then as soon as I'd stop, like, I would just feel these waves of sensation, and it was fairly intense too. And so very, very interesting, because it's, for somebody like me who's usually pretty high energy, for me to sit still for like it's been almost 3 hours. Like, it's quarter past. Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I wanted to bring in that acknowledgement, because I really do think the work that you're doing is absolutely, I mean, it's so vital, and you're doing it without all these, like, there's no whatever, like, there's no labels attached to it. It's just, you're doing
my 8-week program.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You're just doing sessions with people, and if they want to do more, they can. And
Yeah.
So, and does this form for you? Does this feel the most natural?
Yeah, and it actually is, I feel, to be what works the best as well. Like, when you're just meeting someone directly where they're at, because the beliefs, the egos will appear in when it's questioned, right? And then just meeting it and calling it out on a one-on-one basis. Reading books and going to group satsangs and retreats and stuff, that can work for some people, but what I found to be the most effective is just meeting someone exactly where they're at and working with them on a one-on-one basis. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so I'm in the process. I'll get it done one of these days and add it to the list of like 1,000 things that I want to do for this. But I am in the process of putting together an entry level course because I really feel that for those who are wanting, like I feel for me, my zone of genius is the provision of information, and the eventual idea is that people will be able to extract their own information, once they understand how all this works. But the first pillar is which is what I do is to get people into their body and get people to, become familiar with what it means to be in the body, and starting to paying attention to sensations, starting to paying attention to thoughts, and starting to understand that these thoughts are they're there. So like the negative, and what I mean is like the negative thoughts, they're there for a reason, and the reason is for you to be able to lead yourself back to basically the state of what you do. And so that's part of it. And then I guess the second piece is to get people to start realizing that, once they start doing this, that they can start giving themselves a break and start realizing that all this is for their good. I mean, that's a tough one for a lot of people, but once you've been at it for a while, it's like, I fully believe that everything that I've experienced has been, if I hadn't have experienced it, you and I would not be having this conversation right now. And yeah, so, but anyway, long story short, yeah, I'd like to do another session.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it. You can just book, I think, the links there. And
oh yeah. Send me. Yeah. So yeah, what I'll do is, do you want me to just to put your contact info in the thing, or do you want me to put because I have no problem putting the link in as well.
Yeah, you can just link my TikTok account.
Okay.
So people can check it out if they want more information. Yeah.
Can you book right from TikTok? I can't remember.
No, you have to go through I guess I could send you the Calendly link as well.
Oh, you don't have a website?
I have a website too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just one of those free Wix websites. I haven't upgraded yet.
Okay.
Just a little thing with information, but most people find me, just pretty much everyone just finds me through TikTok. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just link your TikTok account. Okay. And that'll be, so when did you start it?
I started my TikTok account, I don't even know, I guess sometime last year, but for the Cambo stuff. And then I only just started uploading content about like awakening and all of that about 4 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was something else that I wanted to ask you about, but I didn't want to do it I didn't want to go too deep on camera.
Yeah.
But so are you facilitating this stuff like in Vancouver, or do you run
just online? No. I'm still kind of new to this, so I'm just meeting people online and
the Cambo stuff.
Oh, the Cambo stuff. Yeah. I'm facilitating that. Yeah, not online. That's here in Vancouver.
I was gonna say, like, you can do that online.
No. We want to be. Yeah. So yeah, I do that here in Vancouver.
Okay.
But I'm sure there'll be, I mean, if you ever interested in Cambo, you're welcome to, if you're ever in Vancouver. But I think there's probably some facilitators in Toronto.
Okay.
That you can work with if you are interested. Yeah.
I'm very interested. And the fact that it's a fairly short kind of, I wouldn't say painless per se, but it's a very short.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is it maybe we should have left the camera on, but that's is it for some people, is it like opening up a Pandora's box? Because I know after I did the ayahuasca, like the couple of the month leading up to that, I was really feeling good, and I knew that I didn't need the ayahuasca, but I was curious, and then it led me, and then for the next 6 weeks after that, I was in a bit of a tailspin, which was fine because it turned out to be a really healthy purge. But for like, and I guess the results are going to vary depending on the person, but what would you say is kind of like a very common kind of, 3-4 weeks afterwards?
Well, it really depends on what your intention is, because as far as my experience goes, is that there is an intelligence in the medicine that really does address what your intention is, if it's something that's going to be helpful for you to work through at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say the benefits, like how you would feel, is just like mostly just calm. I actually did a session yesterday on myself, and you feel calmer. The nervous system feels more relaxed. You feel more cleansed.
Okay.
Detox. If there's like any aches or pains in the body, typically those are reduced. Yeah, less emotional reactivity as well, less like cravings for things, more energy, more strength as well. Generally, people have a better mood. Yeah, those are kind of the main benefits. Yeah. And especially if you're working with it for the first time, it depends on what your intention is, but I typically do recommend to do 3 sessions in a short period of time so you can really work through certain layers with the medicine if it's something that you like. I like Kambo because it's fairly low commitment. Like, you're not sitting in a like 8-hour ayahuasca ceremony or 5-hour mushroom trip. It's just like,
Half hour.
yeah, you get it. Well, I mean, how I run my ceremonies, it's about 2 to 3 hours, but like, I do intention setting, I do a practice to ground the nervous system. We talk about safety.
Okay.
And then there's time to rest, like 45 minutes to rest after, and then I serve food. And
okay, yeah. So that's pretty that's pretty like low key. Right?
Yeah, but the medicine portion is anywhere between 15 and 25 minutes. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody in Toronto that does it?
I don't, but a good bet. So I was trained with an organization called the IAKP. They're the best. IAKP, the International Association for Kambo Practitioners. They are the best training. It's the best training basically, which is why I chose them. So if you get someone,
I could just Google them and
just Google. Right? Yeah. I would suggest someone that's been, because they have like the medical, like the Western medical understanding to a certain degree of the contraindications and how to approach certain situations, but also keeping the like the lineage from the Amazon and the traditions also incorporated in it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's very important. Like, I remember doing that. I did a Reiki course, God knows, it seems like a million years ago now, but yeah. So, yeah. So, okay. All right. So yeah, I will, I definitely like to connect again for cause I'm neck deep in this transition right now. And, there's a lot of constant pressures that I'm repeatedly needing to address. And there's probably some generational patterns that I need to break. And, I've had moments of it over the years, but it's always shifting and changing and stuff. And
this stuff that I'm doing plus the Kambo, it's like, this is like addressing the mind, right? This questioning. And then the Kambo is addressing the body and the nervous system, because trauma is real, right? We can't just like spiritually bypass our way out of it, right? Like, it is a real thing in the nervous system. Doesn't mean that you're broken or you need fixing. It's just something that's happening in the body, right?
Yeah.
And that can be somehow addressed through the mind, through seeing what's going on, but also purging it out of the system. And that's what Kambo is really good about. Anything you want to get rid of, because it's like a purging, like you're throwing up, you're letting the energy be released.
I would even argue that what you're doing with the no mind stuff is it's more than just working with the mind, because it's because you're not present to thoughts. You're present. Oh, so yeah. So this is what I started doing was so the idea of no mind means no mind. Like, I took it literally, and I was actually able, and I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've been able to do this for a while because I've been doing this for as long as I have. But this just gave me a whole new depth of like, just like my mind was just like, this is yummy. This is like candy, so I would ask myself, okay, what is beyond thought? And it was just so much easier to drop in and just feel around without any thinking.
Yes.
And when you can do that, it's just, and then after the last one, which I did was yesterday, my mind was like, okay, now how do we, of course, the mind is going to ask questions. And it was like, because I mean, like you said, we can't, we should have been recording this the whole time, but anyways, the mind is actually going to, is going to inquire, okay, so it'd be like, how can I incorporate this state into daily living? And how can I, and these are questions that I would ask, out of it, because this is where my curiosity and those ones would kick in, right? And it's like, okay, so how can I incorporate this into daily living? Because for me, it's more about, I mean, yes, it's about the transcendent experience when I'm in state, but it's more so in day-to-day living and trying to create an experience from resonance versus an experience from scarcity. Because when we're in that state of resonance, which is effectively what you put people in when you do your sessions, and it becomes easier and easier and easier over time as you clean up the nervous system. So, and I just, it was like, I haven't got any clear answers yet, but it was funny because it just kept coming back to to the same thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's beyond thought? What's beyond thought? And then it occurred to me, and this is why I was trying to explain the difference, or what I see as the difference between thought as like day-to-day thinking and stuff, and then that that ideas or concepts or whatever that arise from a state of no mind. And so the quality of the two, they can be experienced similarly, as you have words flashing through your mind, or you're communicating them, but the quality and the vibrational frequency, or the level of resonance that they're coming from, is the difference. So when they're coming from a place of no mind, it's like the highest quality of signal that you can have. Whereas when they're coming from a place of scattered, stressed outness, it's obviously the signal's not so resonant. It's not so coherent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important to understand for people, because people are going to because you don't want people to think that when they have flashes of insight like that, when they're in a state like that you put them in, that they're like, oh, well, is this a thought? Well, I mean, technically it is a form of thought, but it's not a past future self thought. It's arising from somewhere of a much higher quality.
Yeah, and thoughts in themselves aren't like the bad guy. They're a survival tool, right? We need thoughts to know like what berries are poisonous, and what time to pick up the children tomorrow. Like we need thoughts, like we need that. It's fine. But like it's really about the thoughts that are giving you the drama, the thoughts that are seeking, that are pushing away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Which is So okay. So probably it's likely that what I'm probably going to wind up doing is splitting it into two parts, just because it's almost a 3-hour conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do part 1 week, and then part 1 the next week. Because what I'll do is I've got a little bit of an editing process that I run it through. So it'll, there'll be I've got some software that I found, and it cleans up the sound a bit. It cleans up the quality. It puts in a little bit of B-roll just for fun. It edits like the zoom in, zoom out, and it's just to maintain, interest when people are actually watching.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little intro. I might put in a little bit of music. I'm not sure yet, but just to, but not to take away from, the the essence of what we're talking about. So I really want to keep that. Yeah, I really like to keep that intact, because I just find that it's just, I don't know, it's just better that way. It's more natural, and it's more of the type of signal that I'm really trying to, and experience that I'm trying to create with this little project. So
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, my dear. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
I'm going to go and book, and probably within the next, I would say in the next few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Trina, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye for now.
Bye.